Alright, what's up everybody here for a fun fight night card finally. You got UFC Vegas 41. You got Marvin Vittori taking on Paulo Costa in the main event, and hell of a main event compared to last week and the week before that. Hell yeah, dude. Sign me the hell up. And then, you got Grant Dawson, who just had a big win. I'm looking forward to that fight versus taking on Rick Glenn. Very unknown. A lot of unknowns in that fight, so that should be fun. And then you got Alex Caceres taking on Sungwoo Choi, which is going to be a banger, low-key. Not even low-key, high-key. And then you got Nico Mariano taking on Ike Villanueva, who had that big upset against Legacy Kimura, so that should be fun. And then you got Jung-Won Park, the Iron Turtle. You got him taking on another monster in Silva. His first name... Silva, sorry, I forget his first name. Gregory Silva, Obama. And, Gregory Silva, who making a splash from the LFA, so it should be fun. Quick recap of last weekend. I didn't do too bad. I got the main event wrong. And thinking about it, there was just too many red flags to pick Aspinallad, and I went against my common knowledge because so busy trying to chase these upsets, or not upsets, but like these crazy situations. And you know what? Dude, Aspinallad had everything against her. Missed weight, up a new weight class, hasn't fought in a while, and Norma just took it to her. Aspinallad hung in her. She's a tough lady, but Norma's the real deal. And then Arlovsky getting it done a little closer than I thought. But like I said, dude, Arlovsky, he's the gatekeeper to the elite. If you want to be a top 15, you got to get through Andre Arlovsky. And then, goddamn it, Jim Miller getting it done with a knockout. Who the hell would have thought? Plus 1,000 or plus 1,800 by the time the fight came around for knockout. I told you guys to sprinkle it, to keep it in mind, and it happened. Who could have thought? But good for him, man. Still doing the damn thing. And then, unfortunately, Julian Marquez and Jordan Wright was canceled. But, and then Nate Landwehr getting that big upset against Ludovic Klein. Just the power, man. Just taking the dude down and getting on that anaconda choke and just not giving up. And, it was a good win for him. Big upset win. So, it was a bad card, but it could have been worse. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. More fun fights, a lot of closer fights. We got some drastically changing odds, like big underdogs and big favorites in a couple fights, but it should be fun. The main event's really exciting. And then next week we got, the pay-per-view, and then the week after that we got another pay-per-view. So finally, I'm going to stop talking. Let's get into it. The feature fight on the prelims at women's strawweight, you got Tabitha Ricci taking on Maria Oliveira. Making her official UFC debut. Tabitha, her last fight, she took on Manon Fiorot, who we just saw fight last weekend. In the first round, she bounces in and out at range, but she eats a few side kicks from Manon. She eats a 1-2 and then a jab at the end of the range, at the end of her punches. She eats a body and a head kick, and then. But she backs up and she pumps her jab. She's trying to stay moving, trying to hit a target, find her range. But then she comes in straight and eats a hard straight right from Manon. But then she lands a counter right hook off of Manion's jab. But her shot gets stuffed, and then she eats some hooks, and she eats combinations up against the fence. And then in the second round, she eats a 1-2, and then she gets clinched. She gets pressed, and she eats a 1-2. Manion is backing her up, taking real estate in the octagon. But she eats a straight right, but she lands a jab. But she gets dropped with the straight right, and she gets clinched and just gets TKO'd with a flurry of punches. So, Manion's a beast, is what it is. She had her moments, I guess. And then Maria Oliveira, her last fight, I couldn't really find tape on. It's a weird promotion, but a couple fights ago, she took on Marina Rodriguez at Dana White's Contender Series. Sorry, it's all I could find. In the first round, her kick is caught, and she gets taken down with an ankle pick, and then she gets into half guard, and she eats some ground and pound. She eats knees in the clinch when they get back on her feet, and then she eats a 1-2. She's moving forward, trying to get in, but Marina keeps piecing her up. She eats a right hook, but then she gets hurt with a knee to the head, and then she eats a straight right, and then an elbow, and then an elbow and knee flurry, just throwing them indiscriminately, and she gets knocked the fuck out again. So both these ladies got knocked the fuck out in her last fight. Let's take a look at the odds. Maria plus 205, Tabitha minus 255. Don't like those odds, but it's women MMA, low level, don't really care. This is time that would be ripe for underdogs, but I just don't see Maria doing it. I think Tabitha's going to get done. She has more experience. Sorry, Marie, this isn't showing me anything that she's going to come in and get this huge upset win, which it would be. Don't like the price, is what it is, but women's MMA is always hard. I might be wrong, but my pick here is Tabitha Ricci. One of the co-main of the prelims, you got a fun, interesting fight here. A lot of unknowns at 155 lightweight. Mason Jones taking on UFC newcomer David Onama. Mason Jones, he took on Alain Patrick. I believe that's how you say it. His last fight. Ending sucked, but he looked really good the whole fight. In the first round, he stuffs a single leg. He eats a back fist at range, however, but then he eats a couple knees in the clinch, but then he gets the clinch on the fence, and then he lands an elbow on the break of the clinch, real sneaky. He lands a check right hook, and then he eats another back fist, and then left and right hooks from Alain, but then he lands a counter 1-2. He gets a takedown off of the spinning back fist whenever Alain misses it, because you do too much spinning shit, and he's able to get a mat returner on the back, slam him down, and then he gets in a half guard, and then able to land some hard ground and pound to finish out the round. And then the second round, he gets the inside trip off the fence pretty quickly, and then he lands some ground and pound, and then he stuffs a double leg, and he's able to land an uppercut. However, it was a hard uppercut, but he accidentally pokes him in the eye or something too, and Alain cannot continue, so they called it a no contest, but Mason looked really good throughout the fight, and I really think he would have won. Probably we got it finished, but it is what it is. Didn't happen. Then David Onama, his last fight, he took on Brad Robinson in the first round. He presses forward, he misses with a few hooks, swings a little wild, and then he eats some leg kicks, but then he lands a stiff jab, and then he stalks forward, and he lands the overhand right, and just gets the knockout out of nowhere, knocks him the fuck out. Very impressive, a lot of power. That's what you want to see from UFC newcomer. But then before that, he took on Justin Overton in the first round. His kick gets caught and he gets taken down immediately, but he gets up and he's able to get the inside trip on the fence, but then he gets swept with the 100%, where he kind of grab around the neck and I believe elevate the hips and go through. I'm not a jiu-jitsu expert. And then he's able to get full mount, and then but then his back gets taken and turned, but then he sweeps him again, and then he's able to get in full guard. And I didn't watch the whole fight, but I just wanted to see how his grappling was, and he looked okay. His defense is okay. His offense is good. A little scrambling, might make a little mistakes, might slip up and to change position. I might give up position, but I guess he likes to scramble. But anyway, David Onama plus 310, Mason Jones minus 410, and this is a tough one for me because you have that phenomena of the UFC newcomers coming in and just pulling these upsets, one hit knockouts, stuff like that. David Onama, he can do it. Mason Jones is good. I don't think he should be minus 410. I know David's unproven, but plus 310 is really high. I might be wrong here. I'm not really too confident about it, but fuck it. I'm gonna take David Onama plus 310. Get the underdog. To the main event of the prelims. Banger at 185 middleweight. You got Jung Young Park, the Iron Turtle, taking on Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop, or Obama, whatever you want to call him. He's definitely not 29 years old. Anyway, Jung Young Park, he took on Tafon Nchukwu his last fight. In the first round, he comes forward, lands 1-2s. He initiates a clinch. The clinch, he lands a jab, but going forward, and he however eats leg kicks and jabs at range, kind of feeling each other out in this round. And in the second round, he eats right hooks, and then he gets clinched, but he catches a kick, and then he attempts a single leg, doesn't get it, but he's going for it, which is the important part. And then he gets out, he just backs out of range, and then he pumps his jab, just keep moving, keep touching him. He just shoots a single leg, but he gets reversed, and Tafon gets on his hips, and he lands some ground and pound, just kind of throw his hips in, and lands some ground and pound on the bottom, but John's able to get out. But then he gets taken down with a single leg, but he had a tight guillotine, so, he just kind of went for that for whatever reason. Don't really love that, but it is what it is. At least he's doing something. Then in the third round, he gets hit with the overhand rights over his jab, but he's able to roll his shoulder and not take the full force of the shots, which is important, something you don't see a whole lot, honestly. But then he backs out of range, and he's able to land jabs. He catches a kick, and he's able to get the takedown sitting up against the fence. So Tafon's butt's kind of against the fence. Doesn't have a ton of control, but he's on top of him. And then he's able to get another trip takedown when Tafon stands up. And then he's able to get half guard, and he's able to take his back and just kind of go back and forth between back and stomach and just land some ground and pound, fucks him up. Really turns on the third round, really puts a stamp on it. It was close up to a point, but it wasn't close anymore. Got to respect that out of him. And then Gregory Rodriguez, his last fight, he took on Dusko Todorovic. In the first round, he gets clinched to the fence immediately, but he lands leg kicks and a jab to the chest at range. He just keeps throwing the jab, throw it to the body, throw it to the head, which is nice to see him mix it up. He misses hooks, but he's able to stuff his shot with the whizzer, and then he lands a right hook and then a 1-2 off of the clinch, and then he lands a 3-2 from range. That was a good combination he throws. And then in the second round, he pumps a jab and lands a straight right. He lands a 1-2 and then a 3 to the body. And then he lands left hooks as Dusko presses forward. So he's able to catch him coming in. And then he gets a double leg from space out of nowhere, which is really good. So we got two fun wrestlers here. And then he gets clinched, but he's able to stuff the double up against the fence. And then the third round, he eats a flying knee kind of out of nowhere. And then, and left and right hooks from Dusko, but then he shoots a double leg, but it gets stuffed. But then he jabs to the body, and then he lands a straight right, and then he eats a 1-2 and in an exchange, and then he hits another 1-2 and then a right hook off of the clinch, and then he hits the left hook to the body in the clinch. But he had his moments. Definitely got touch up a little bit in the third. Kind of fell off a little bit in the third, but I thought he looked good. I thought his power looked good, and I liked that he wrestled. The betting line's very close. This is a very interesting fight. Gregory is -120 and Jong Young Park is +100. And, this is a toss-up. I just think John's going to be able to turn it on later in the fight. And I think he might get taken down, but I think when he gets his takedown, he's going to keep Gregory down. That's what I think. And then, once he gets on top, he has some deadly ground and pound. I like the even money. My pick here is Jong Young Park. Okay, the first fight on the main card at 205 pounds. Got a banger. You got Nico Negumereanu taking on Ike Villanueva, which should be fun. Hurricane Ike. Okay, Nico took on Alexa Kimura's last fight. Pretty good performance from him. Pretty surprising. Shocked a lot of people. Won some money as an underdog. In the first round, he eats a jab going forward, and he eats jab and then leg kicks and a left hook as he's moving in. Alexa turns it on for the first 2.5 minutes, but then he eats a 1-2 and then he eats an uppercut, but he returns a jab and then he lands multiple right hands in a row, just kind of pounces on him, and then he gets the clinch and a body lock lift to a takedown, but he eats uppercut, but he lands hard overhand rights while he's doing this. And basically the whole thing with this guy, you have to understand, is this dude just eats shots and he doesn't care. He'll get hit and he doesn't care. His chin's been out, granted, I guess it's not gonna last forever, but it lasts now, so that's what he does. In the second round, he eats uppercut and overhand right, and then another right. But then he gets the clinch on the fence, and then he keeps his forehead underneath his chin, which is really good. He's not going anywhere, keeping the pressure, really keeping tight, really making an effort to keep that clinch there. And then they both trade left hooks, but he lands a left hook at the end of the range. And then in the third round, he chases him and lands right hooks, and then he stuffs the double leg from Alexa, but then he misses a few wild right hooks, but he hits a check left hook from Alexa, then he clinches, and then he's able to land a jab on the break, and then he hits a 1-2 at range, but it doesn't really matter. Basically, he was just pressuring the whole time. Alexa was throwing everything he had at him, and Nico was just able to take the shots and just press him and hurt him, and that was it. And Alexa got exhausted by the end of the fight. And then Ike Villanueva, his last fight, he took on Marcin Prachnio. In the first round, he stalks forward, lands a 3-2-3, and then he hurts him, and then he lands a flurry, and then some straight rights, a bit of heated exchange, and then he lands a lead left hook, and then he eats a short right as he's moving forward, but then he lands a counter left hook against the fence, and then he lands a right hook and then a right uppercut, but he eats some leg kicks as he's walking him down, and the leg kicks really start to hurt him, but then he catches a kick, and he lands a straight right, and then he gets some ground and pound behind the back, just kind of gets on top of him and lands some ground and pound, but just kind of throws wildly what he has. And then in the second round, he eats a left body kick out of nowhere and just gets knocked out from the liver shot. Ike looked pretty good the first round, but you could tell he was starting to weather, and then maybe got a little careless and got hit with that liver kick. That liver kick would put anybody down, but it is what it is. But definitely has some potential here. This is a fun fight. Ike is +185 and Nico is -225. Obviously, you don't like the price, but I really think about this one, and yeah, dude, I think Nico's worth the money. I made a huge mistake last time. I know I'm not trying to overcorrect myself, but I bet against him. But because he eats shots, well, guess what? This dude eats shots. He can take them. Ike hits a little harder than Alexa probably, but I don't think he's just gonna walk through Ike. And then after it gets out of the first round, I think it really favors Nico here. I think Nico's just going to be able to walk him down and tire him out, kind of like Marcin did. My pick here is Nico Negumereanu. Second fight on the main card, you got another fun one. At 170, you got Francisco Trinaldo taking on Dwight Grant. Francisco took on Muslim Salikov his last fight. In the first round, he eats a jab to the body, throws a 1-2 and clinches, but he breaks out of the clinch. But then he eats a body kick in an exchange, but he throws a combination immediately after he gets hit. So he's always firing back, which is good to see. And then he lands left hook and then a clinch. And knee in the clinch, and then he eats a right hook, but he lands a straight left inside the pocket, and he rushes in, and he misses his hook, and he eats an uppercut, and then he gets dropped, and eats some ground and pound. Kind of, he gets right back up, but, in the second round, he slips the uppercut. He's able to land a left hook to the body and lands a straight left off of Muslim's punch. But then he gets rocked with the counter right hook from Muslim whenever he gets overextended, coming in to throw, and his chin's kind of hanging out there. But then he lands a left hook at range. And he's able to get the plum tie, but he gets pressed to the fence, but he lands knees to the body with his back against the fence. Like I said, always throwing something. And then, they break, and he misses the jab, he eats a right hook. In the third round, he misses the hook, and then he gets clinched, and he eats a jab as he's walking forward, but he lands a combination, and he presses Muslim to the fence, but then he eats a 1-2, and then a front kick, but then he lands a straight left, but then he gets double-legged toward the end, and that's all she wrote for that fight. Looked okay, had a lot of fight, but, Muslim just picked the shots a little bit better and was able to get a takedown. Dwight Grant took on Stefan Zakulik his last fight. In the first round, he lands a left hook and then a straight right, and he lands a 3-2, but he gets taken down with a double as he's throwing his combination, so kind of overextended himself. And then in the second round, he stuffs a double leg, and then he lands a counter right hook, and then he eats a counter right hook, but then he lands a left hook of his own, then he gets taken down with a double from space, basically kind of out of nowhere into half guard, but he gets to his feet. He's able to elevate Stefan's hips and get back up, which is good. In the third round, he gets a double as Stefan throws his right hook, but then he gets pressed to the fence, and he's able to stay on his feet, but he gets out. And then he eats a straight left at range, and then he lands a 1-2, and then he gets rocked with the 1-2, and then he gets put in a guillotine. Yeah, Stefan tried to just jump with that, but decent showing, but Stefan took it to him, with the takedowns, and it was a little bit ahead of him. Take a look at the betting line. Dwight Grant is plus 115, Trinaldo minus 135, and I just like Trinaldo. I like the activity. I think his pace is good. The line's very close. Dwight Grant, just didn't really do enough activity for me. And I think Trinaldo, if you can't get him down, he'll be able to get him in the clinch. He'll be able to use that plum tie. My pick here is Francisco Trinaldo. Okay, the third fight on the main card, you got a fun one at 145. You got Alex Caceres taking on Sungwoo Choi. Sungwoo Choi, a big prospect. Alex Caceres used to be the shit. And this is his chance, man. If he wins this fight, people are gonna, he's right back in the mix. People are going to be talking about him. And if Sungwoo wins this, he's finally announced himself to the division. So it should be a fun one. Caceres took on Kevin Kroom his last fight. In the first round, he stuffs a double, and then he gets double underhooks and he lands knees. I like how he's doing that, and he's always going for the underhook. Just doesn't hang out over under, and then he gets pressed to the fence, but he's able to keep the overhook and stop him from getting taken down. But then he gets mat returned, but he hip heists and he gets full guard and lands some nice ground and pound. But then he gets mat returned, but then he gets out again and lands combinations and a body kick. So he's always moving, doesn't like to accept the position. In the second round, he defends a double on the fence, and then he lands a check left hook, and then he gets taken down in the clinch while he's throwing a knee, and he attempts a triangle. Doesn't really work out, but at least the threat's there. And then in the third round, he lands a check right hook, and then he gets the front headlock, and then he lands some hooks. Then he lands short hooks as he's backing up out of the clinch. But then he gets a mat return takedown, gets around the back and slams him to the mat. And then he's able to get the pancake off of Kroom, just kind of over under while Kroom is overextended on his shot. And then he's able to get full guard, and he's able to get around his back and do a rear naked choke attempt and get the figure four and all of that. And, he really looked good at the end of the fight. He had a really good third round there. And then Sungwoo Choi, his last fight, obviously real quick, Sungwoo Choi has power. A lot of power. He took on Julian Erosa his last fight. Very quick fight, lands a 1-2, lands a straight right off of Julian's kick, and then he gets a knockout with the left hook. Not too much to report there, but, He has power, and then before that, he took on Yusuf Zalal. In the first round, he walks him down, but he eats a jab, and then he lands leg kicks, and then he defends a double, but he gets pressed to the fence. He lands a 1-2 off of his Zalal's kick, and then in the second round, he lands a 1-2, and then he presses to the fence, but he gets reversed, and he defends a single leg, so that's good. And then he lands a 1-2 after he throws his kick, and then he throws a 1-2, and then he's able to get the clinch and get the body lock takedown, which was big for him. So he can add wrestling into his wrinkle there with his power. Doesn't have to rely on his power. And then in the third round, he gets taken down on the fence and he gets put in a guillotine in a triangle, but he's able to fight it off, get out of it, and able to get full guard. And then, lands some ground and pound, and then back on the feet, he's able to defend takedowns on the fence for the rest of the round. Zalal just kind of pressed him and shot on the fence, but Song was able to defend. Not a really dominant performance from Song, but definitely a performance that you want to have. Definitely, like I said, showed the wrestling, and he's able to land shots, and just always hung in there, and didn't get caught in any submissions. So Sung Woo is -280, and Alex Caceres is +225. And I really originally picked Sung, but looking this over and with the betting line, I like Alex Caceres here. I like that price a lot. I don't think Sung Woo is -280, not against Alex Caceres. I think the first round or maybe round and a half might be tough for Alex, but I think he can squeak them out. I don't think he necessarily submits Song, but I think he can put him in those situations, and I think he'll be able to get a takedown eventually. And Alex can piece people up. He has sharp straight punches. He can land jabs, land powerful straight punches. My pick here is Alex Caceres. Right, the feature fight on the main card. Got a fun women's bantamweight matchup. Jessica Clark taking on Jocelyn Edwards. Jessica Clark took on Sarah Alpar her last fight. In the first round, she presses forward, lands a right hook, but then she gets doubled coming in, and then she gets pressed to the fence, but she's able to defend the single leg, and she's able to land elbows while Alpar's in on her leg, and then she's able to frame off of her head and land an elbow, and then she's able to get around her back and then get a mat return takedown. A good way to end the first round. And then the second round, she gets pressed and she gets taken down, but she gets right back up against the fence, and then she lands knees to the body. She's able to reverse clinch position, and then she lands a straight right, and then she's able to clinch again, and then she lands leg kicks and then a right hook, and then she defends a single, and then she's able to get around, and she's able to land some knees in the clinch, and then she's able to sprawl her into a bad shot and get her on her back and just land some ground and pound, just hang out there for the rest of the round. And then in the third round, she stuffs a double leg attempt, and they get into a little bit of a scramble, and she's able to go with the momentum and keep her head high and win the scramble and stay on top. And she's able to hit her with a front kick and then a flurry and then a knee to the head. A lot of controversy in this fight. She kneed her in the head right before her butt hit the mat, and I don't know what the fuck Chris Ione was doing, but that fight should have ended there. The fight did go on, but literally all that happened after that was that Jessica Clark beat the shit out of her, like in mount, on her back, whatever. So it is what it is. She dominated. I think she got the win right there, in my opinion. And then Jocelyn Edwards, she took on Kel Rosa her last fight. In the first round, she gets taken out the double right away into half guard. Doesn't really do much, but then all of a sudden she bucks forward, and then she's able to buck Rosa off of her, and then interesting position. She's able to get head body scissors and just kind of stand up, which is an impressive way to escape. But she sat there for a long time, took some punishment. But then back on her feet, she eats a counter left hook, and she gets rocked. And then in the second round, she eats a hard leg kick, and then she eats knees in the plum tie, and then she eats a 1-2, and then she eats a flurry, but she's able to get out with the blitz, so she keeps getting hit, and then she just runs forward, throws straight shots, gets out of it, which I thought was a good way to get out of it. But then she gets taken down with the body lock, got a little too overzealous there. Then in the third round, she swings wild, but she gets taken down with the double leg as she's swinging, and she gets clinched to the fence, and then she tries the wizard kick, but Rose is able to just hip into her and get on top, and just ride out the rest of the round there. Jocelyn Edwards is +140, and Jessica Clark is -160. I was surprised. I don't see how Jocelyn wins this fight. The line is very close. I think this is a steal here. I think Clark's just going to be able to clinch her up, get a takedown eventually, piece her up. Jocelyn might be able to offer some counters, but, I think Jessica might have a little trouble taking her down at first, but I think she'll get her down eventually. -160, good price. My pick here is Jessica Clark all day. Easy one for me. And then the co-main event at lightweight 155, you got Grant Dawson taking on Rick Glenn. A lot of unknowns because Rick Glenn was off for a few years. His last fight, he got a knockout in less than a minute, so it'll be interesting. And then Grant Dawson had that, I don't know if it's come from behind, a very close fight, but got the knockout with 1 second left. That was awesome. It's gonna be a good fight. Dawson took on Leonardo Santos his last fight. In the first round, he eats leg kicks, and then his double is stuffed. He eats a counter 1-2, but then he lands an overhand right, and then he gets in on a single and he presses him to the fence, but then he gets taken down with an outside hip toss, but he gets back up in the clinch, doesn't accept the position, always moving. And in the second round, he lands a right hook at range. He eats a knee on his double leg attempt, but he's able to clinch and get him to the fence, and then he gets pressed with a jab and a combination, and then he takes a bad shot and gets his back taken. Doesn't take any real damage, but gets back up, and pretty close fight at this point. And then in the third round, his single leg is stuffed, but he presses him to the fence. He's able to get the mat return, get around him, lift him up, and then he's able to get side control, really dominant position there. And then short time left, 15 seconds. He's in full guard. He just postures up, stands up, and just starts throwing hammer fists and hits him and knocks him out. And it was amazing. There's 1 second left, and good for him. It shows a lot of heart. He's gonna fight for your dollar. That's very important. And then Rick Glenn, his last fight, took on Joaquim Silva. Drops him with the left hook as Silva rushes in and just gets a knockout. TKO. Nothing to it. But and then before that, he has power obviously, but. And then a couple years ago, before that, I took on Kevin Aguilar. Didn't really watch the whole fight, just got some main points from there because who knows how he is now. 3 years is a long time. But first round of that fight, he lands a body kick, lands a short left, and then he shoots a single against the fence, but he lands a short left, but he gets rocked with an uppercut, and then he eats a jab at range. And then he eats he lands a head kick and then a straight left, but he eats a body shots in the clinch. He tries to clinch up Kevin, and Kevin just hits him in the body. Kevin's really fast. And then he eats a uppercut in the pocket, but then he lands a right hook, but then he eats a body kick. And then second round, he eats a dip left. I guess that's what it's called. Kevin dips in, hits him with a left jab. I don't know. Dip left at range. He shoots against the fence, and he lands a left hook, and then he eats a straight right to the body, and he eats uppercut as he's coming in, but then he lands knees to the body in the clinch, and then he initiates the clinch, but he eats flurries, but then he lands some elbows in the clinch. Just that type of deal. Kind of gets pieces off on the outside, but when he gets in on the clinch, he does better. That's what I got from that. But anyway, that was a while ago, so can't take too much from it. But right now, Rick Glenn has power. Rick Glenn plus 350, Grant Dawson minus 450. I hate the price, but not all these underdogs can hit. Please don't let them all hit because I'll get them wrong. I like Grant Dawson. Rick Glenn has way too many unknowns. Plus 350. Is he worth plus 350? I really can't say so. And because I can't say so, I'm going to say he isn't. My pick here is Grant Dawson. I like him to get it done over the 3 rounds. Okay, on to the main event. Wow. 195. Marvin Vittori taking on Paulo Costa. Borchina, the Eraser. So basically, here's the deal. So Paulo Costa wants his fight at 195 because he can't make weight. Huge red flag for me. Hasn't fought in over a year. And got knocked the fuck out his last fight. And I didn't really do any study tape or whatever because last time I just kind of went with my prior knowledge and gut feeling with Arlovsky, and it worked out, so I'm going to try that one and this one. I really don't, I feel so strongly about this before even watching the tape. Like, I don't see the need to. I hope that's not stupid or lazy. I'm not trying to be, but, and then, also Paulo hasn't fought in over a year, and Marvin's been very active, which is another thing against him. My pick here is Marvin Vittori. Okay, I think, he's going to be able to pressure him over time. Paulo might come out furious first couple rounds or so. Marvin might take some punishment, but Marvin has a good chin. He can take punishment, and I think as the fight goes on, Marvin will be able to wear on him. He'll be able to pump his jab, land hooks, land some power shots, get away from Paulo's power, get the clinch, get takedowns. I know Kevin Holland's Kevin Holland, but Marvin's was a takedown machine in that fight. He can get the takedowns. The betting line, Marvin's minus 180, Paulo's plus 155. It's not that big of a deal. And then Marvin only swallowed up because of the weight announcement. My pick here is Marvin Vittori. This fight is pretty big. Both guys both lost Adesanya, but nobody's going to get title shots soon. But whoever wins this fight, it still stays relevant. And I feel like they'll kind of move into that Gilbert Burns situation where there'll be a gatekeeper to get a title shot. You want a title shot, get through me, and get 2 or 3 of those wins, and then they'll be back in there. Middleweight's very interesting because supposedly Robert Whittaker and Izzy are fighting, but who knows when that's going to happen. And then you got Cannonier taking on Derek Brunson for the other #1 contender spot, so who knows. I think somebody's going to have to fight somebody eventually here. And then you got Sean Strickland in the wings. He needs a fight real bad, so maybe Sean Strickland takes a loser in this fight. Anyway, very interesting fight. It should be fun. 2 meatheads going at it. Should be a lot of aggression in that fight, and I like it. Anyway, so there's my predictions for UFC Vegas 41. Thank you for riding with me. I had a decent weekend last weekend, so I hope you continue a profitable week. A lot of fun spots on this card. There's a couple tricky ones, with some of these spots are really wide. The lines are really wide, with some extreme underdogs, with new fighters and fighters that we haven't seen in a while. So it should be interesting. A lot of risk, which is always fun, but I did my research. I tried my best. And then you know what? I'm going for, if I'm going to lose, I'd rather lose to somebody on the value. Rather lose going to the underdog. So that's my thing. Anyway, I appreciate you guys following me. Please leave a comment below, like the page, subscribe to my page, share with people, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all of that. Do some fight recaps and talk a little bit about MMA. Leave a comment. Let's talk about fighting or whatever. And I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on fight night. Let's win this money.